In this Planet Zoo video, I'm going to be creating a zoo entrance, the starting point and the fundamental part of any zoo. On the way, I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks that I like to use, and hopefully after this video, you will feel so much more comfortable when it comes to creating zoo entrances. Now, here's the thing about creating something like this. The majority of it is down to your own creativity and gaining inspiration yourself. The way it's designed, the way it looks and what kind of theme is all down to you. Sure, you can copy everything I do in this video or copy my builds in general, that's perfectly fine. But the best thing about this game is being able to get creative. If you are really struggling in getting creative and gaining inspiration to build stuff, I have got a totally separate video on that dedicated to that. But in this video, I am going to show you the fundamentals of creating an entrance for your zoos. How I go about doing it. And as always, once I've completed this build, if you do want it so you can start off your zoo with this entrance, my Steam Workshop page link will be in the description down below. Now, if you're watching this video hoping to create an entrance in franchise mode, this is more tailored towards sandbox mode. You can create an entrance in franchise mode, just make sure you've got enough backup of finances. As for staff facilities, you can worry about that when you start getting habitats in your zoo. Remember, on this video, we're going to focus on entrance only. That means we've got to focus on guest facilities. The two major guest facilities you need in an entrance is, you've probably guessed it, an actual zoo entrance and a guest spawner. I would suggest including two zoo entrances, one facing one way, one facing the opposite way, so one as an entrance and one as an exit. I would say another fundamental part is a shop. A lot of your guests coming in and out of your zoo will use a shop and it will boost revenue quite a lot. And it's something what you would see in an entrance/exit of a zoo, isn't it? And I suggest using the souvenir shops with all the shelves and stuff like that, but we can get to building that later on. As you probably are aware, every time you open a new zoo in Planet Zoo, you get this entranceway. We want to delete this so we can make our own. Just remember though, you will not be able to delete these guest spawners unless you've already placed a guest spawner on the other side of this line. You need at least one guest spawner. It won't let you delete them all. Then we can go ahead and delete this path. We want to move away from this line further on into the actual playing and buildable area, and this is where we're going to build our entrance. You want to build around your entranceway with a simple pathing system. I like to align to the grid that the entrance is already on, just like this, and then just start building out. Don't worry about the paths too much because I will be covering them with my own custom paths. So if they look a mess, say they swerve off in different directions like this, and doesn't matter because I'm going to cover them. The guests can still walk over any construction pieces you place on paths. Once your pathing system is on and your entrance and your exit is placed, it'll look something like this. This is very basic, and again, you can copy everything I do. You can download this off my Steam Workshop page, or you can come up with your own designs. I'm just trying to inspire people here and maybe teach a few things along the way. So I'm going to go quite simple but effective with this, and we're going to go with a modern theme for the main entrance. We're going to do a main entrance in the center, and then on the left hand side we're going to do a souvenir shop. On the right hand side we're going to have an empty building to put whatever you want on it. I would suggest putting maybe an info center and a toilet in your entrance as well, but we're going to leave it vacant for people who do want to download it off the Steam Workshop page. But you'll get the idea of what I'm trying to do. Right, I'm going to use the plaster pieces and I'm going to use custom walls. It's a technique I use pretty much in everything I build, whether it be entrances like this or whether it be habitats themselves. If I'm creating a wall, I'm creating a custom wall is what I'm basically trying to say. And I did it with the conservation wood pieces. Kind of look like wood slants, but I'm actually not going to use the plaster pieces what's behind them. Now let me explain. You can see because these plaster pieces are on the grid, it's so much easier for me to just copy the wood pieces over once everything is on the same grid. I can just literally grab, copy and paste is what I call it, and that's it. You've got the front facing entrance and you've got the back of the entrance here. Now I can just delete the plaster pieces like you just seen me do, and I've got this wood structure, and then I can start building onto this. Now I wanted a wood structure. I wanted like that open plan modern theme, and when I do the souvenir shop and we do the empty building on the right hand side, it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be open plan, it's going to be closed in, and I think the difference in styles there give it that unique look, and again following that modern theme. I just love creating modern stuff in Planet Zoo. I don't know what it is. It's definitely my favourite kind of like theme to go with. I'm adding the plaster pieces to the bottom because this is seamlessly going to blend into the plaster pieces what we're going to use for our solid structures, like I've just mentioned. Just adding the trim now with the plaster pieces, the conservation pieces recoloured to black to make it look like metal. And we're now going to concentrate on our souvenir shop. And it's going to be a very basic design. Everything's going to be square. I didn't really want to overdo it. Simple but effective is the look I was going for. Because it's modern, we've got to add a lot of glass, so the souvenir shop's probably going to be more than 50% glass, maybe like 75% glass. Adding those plaster pieces in now and just recolouring the bottom plaster pieces to this nice white. And when I do build stuff with a modern theme, I always use the plaster pieces, recolour them to a bright white, and it does give that modern look very well. And I'm just going to build around now. I'm going to heighten it a little bit because I thought it is a bit small, and if you look at the wooden structure, I wanted it lower, so the wooden structure lower than the actual building. I love giving height variance when I'm creating buildings right next to each other like I'm doing here in this entrance build. We're going to use my lovely roof technique where I put a plaster piece off the grid on top of a plaster piece what's on the grid, and we're going to have a hangover as well. So I've narrowed the grid down to 1 meter, and that gives us the ability to just have the roof slightly hang over the building itself, so it just doesn't all look boxy and square. I can easily copy the off the grid plaster pieces over now, like I did with the custom walls. I'm doing exactly the same with the custom roof here. So I can create a roof design that looks better than square boxy plaster pieces all the same colour. I recoloured the roof to like a darker grey. Again, it just all looks a bit samey. I didn't really enjoy the look of everything looking the exact same. I wanted maybe 2, 3, maximum 4 with this colour scheme. Going to the front of the souvenir shop now, and I decided to build these fins. I actually saw these fins, I think they're called fins, in a building in real life, and the building was in Manchester. It was part of Manchester University, and it kind of had like fins on the side with like concrete or plaster in this case, and then like a glass, and it just gave, when the light shined. Sean, I don't know what the correct pronunciation for that. But when the light did shine, definitely shine. When the light did shine on these fins, it reflected so well onto the other buildings, and I kind of wanted to replicate that in Planet Zoo. And I do that a lot. I'll see something in real life and I'll try to replicate it in Planet Zoo. And yeah, I'll just remember stuff like that. Architectural wise, I do kind of remember stuff. Building out the pathing system, and like I said before, don't worry about the pathing system, we're going to cover it. And then we're going to get a sliding door in there. Obviously, it's not going to be functional. Unfortunately, we don't have the functionality of sliding doors in Planet Zoo. Maybe Planet Coaster 2 will do. We don't know. It's not confirmed. But I'd love to see the functionality of a sliding door. I really would. Just more moving objects in general would be great. Like I said, just covering this floor now. And I initially covered it with this concrete. And then I thought I really don't like the concrete, so I do end up changing it. I'm just kind of create a gap now where our other building will be, and it'll be the exact same length and perimeter as the building on the left hand side, our souvenir shop. It's going to be exactly the same size, and that's how I wanted it. I wanted it like that so it looks more symmetrical and everything just blends in nicely. You see, I've put it at an angle as well. I'm going to put the other building on the right hand side also at an angle, but I'm just going to heighten this floor on the souvenir shop just a little bit more so we can have a custom floors on both with our paths running underneath. Job done. We've also created that gap on the right hand side for our second and last building. Once again, it's going to be very simple, and like I've just said, it's going to be the exact same as the building on the left hand side. Once again, going in with the plaster pieces. I believe this is 6x4 or 6x3. 6x3 is, isn't it? 6x3 perimeter. And we're just going to come in. We're going to leave a gap where our sliding doors will go, but we're going to leave it on the other side because it's going to be closed off on this side. There's no reason to have an entrance on this side. Now, guests are going to go in through the actual zoo entrance, and hopefully it's going to come out of the zoo entrance as well where the exit is, but they're also going to have a souvenir shop right there before they get in the zoo or while they're leaving the zoo to browse in. So there's no reason to have an opening in any other place. Just putting the roof on the actual entrance now, and luckily there was no pokey out bits. I did narrow it down once again to 1 meter, used our little roof trick of the plaster pieces on top of the on the grid plaster pieces to create a thinner roof this time, and so I could lower it down, and there you go, I've got a different height variance in roofs, and it's just very important to make everything just not look blocky. We're not playing Minecraft, we're playing Planet Zoo. And when I was doing this, I was really unhappy with the floor. It just doesn't look right, so I changed it to this. It just looks better with the plaster pieces in there as well, giving it that more custom feel, more fresh and more modern. Like towards the entrance now, we need to add turnstiles, and these are on my workshop page as well if you do want them. And on the front, we're going to add some little bits and bobs like screens and signs, and there go the fins on the souvenir shop. And of course, we need to add all the detailing like the souvenir sign. And then inside, I kind of just built it out and I added a screen, kind of like a media wall. We're going to add the doors onto the souvenir shop, and then we're going to add all the bits and bobs you would find in a souvenir shop. Going on the right hand side now, and just ignore this glass structure monstrosity. Honestly, just ignore it, because I was just playing around with ideas. I end up deleting it. It's not in the final build. I was just trying to think of unique abstract ways to even more modernize it up, but I was just overthinking it, so ignore that. But again, I'm creating that custom roof. Once again, I have got a tutorial on custom roofs and custom walls, by the way. Have a look on my channel, I have got one. You will find it, just type in custom walls, custom roofs, Adamup, Planet Zoo. I'm sure you will find it. And then it did look a little bit too long, and I always said this, if something not right, change it. I really wanted it the same length, but it just did look a bit long and a bit unnecessary. You can see I've added more screens and more signs as well. Again, these are made by me. You're probably sick of me saying this, but it is on my Steam Workshop page if you do want. Pretty much anything I build is on my Steam Workshop page, is what I'm trying to say. I wanted to create these custom windows because they're not long enough. The windows in this game are not long enough, but luckily the glass pieces are, so that means we've got to create custom pieces. Now the good thing of building with the plaster pieces is you can use off the grid with on the grid, and you can, if you play about with it with the advanced movement tool, you can make everything blend in. You can see how everything's just nicely blended in now, ready for me to add glass. I added one-way glass. Why did I do this? I haven't got a clue. I only noticed I added one-way glass when I was actually doing the voiceover for this YouTube video. So yeah, you can add any glass is what I'm trying to say. I understand that this video is quite a long video, and I hope you are learning stuff along the way. If you are, I would really appreciate it if you just pause the video now, or just scroll down a little bit and hit that like button. And if you are new to my channel and you do want to see Planet Zoo stuff like this, then hit that subscribe button. We have been growing quite a lot this channel, and I've got loads of positive feedback from the channel, and honestly I really do appreciate it. But if you are new, subscribe, and if you are liking the video or it's helping you in some way gain some kind of inspiration, then hit that like button. By the way, every time I use any glass pane to create a window, I always put a trim in. I always use conservation pieces, recolor to black, and it makes it look like a metal trim around a window. I do that with everything. Once the flooring in, it looks a bit something like this. I also added a planter. This is a very unique planter, but still going with the same theme. I created this planter. And then on the left hand side, I'm going to create some planters to fit in these gaps. I always say foliage is king in Planet Zoo. It's the same for entrances. Make sure you're adding foliage or rockworks or both. For the planters, I just added these, and I love these when creating modern stuff. These are out the aquatic pack, I believe. They're like little mini palm trees, but they fit in small planters so well. You see me just adjusting, trying to get different heights and trying to play about with ideas, but just decided in the end one upright just looked the best. Again, foliage is king. Foliage on the right, we've got foliage on the left. It looked a bit empty in the middle, so it was time to create a planter. Did that with the plaster pieces, the circle ones, creating a circle planter. Again, don't worry about paths. Like, you guess we'll get to the zoo entrance, don't worry about it. If you see them walking through plantings and stuff like that, you can put path stops, or you can just delete the path and kind of redo it, because it doesn't matter how it looks, remember, because we've covered it. Right, adding the mulch. Got to add a mulch to the planter. Love a bit of mulch. And then again, we're going to go with the same aquatic, kind of like palm tree look. And we're just going to layer them at different heights here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure some of them are kind of like overhanging as well. but not digging into the floor. It's a little bit tricky, but to get that authentic look, that realistic look, that's what you've got to do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to add a little bit of colour in here with not a lot, but just a little bit of different coloured foliage, just to make it look like the plants are maybe dying or withering away a little bit. And we're going to add some leaf litter as well, again adding to that realistic element of the zoo entrance. And here we are, the entranceway is complete. I last left you off with the planter in the middle. That is in, as you can see, and everything is looking good. Now you might see one or two changes. The main change is this enter sign. Again, I went with the conservation wood pieces coming down, and to give it this 3D look, what I did is I placed the letters down as enter. By the way, those animal noises, we've not got animal in the zoo, they are actually off these screens. So if you place any screens in your zoo, there is an option to scroll down to video and to have the Planet Zoo trailer with all the animal noises playing. I just think that's a really cool idea to have in an entranceway. So you'll see a screen there, kind of like information. You've got to use your imaginative brain with this one, maybe saying souvenir shop this way, and then one here maybe saying entrance, and then you've got some information here, maybe these where you can pick your tickets up or have a look at maps and such of the zoo. But yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked there, that's my ADHD. Right, it says enter here, and to give it this 3D look, I've just put the plate there. I'll just go on to building mode. So you see, it's the simple font. I've not used workshop fonts or anything like that, but what I've done is I placed it down saying enter, and then I placed it down again but moved it out slightly and recolored it to black. And what this does is creates like a 3D look to the writing, doesn't it? In the souvenir shop you will see I've added, well, the souvenirs, what you actually need in a souvenir shop. The counters are there, the balloons are down, and everything is ready to go and guest ready. The other major change, what I totally just forgot to actually tell you about, is I've changed this roof. I've put like a diagonal slant in it, so it comes out here and it looks like the actual enter sign is holding up the roof. It's acting as a roof support as well as a sign. I really hope this video is helpful to people, but that is the entrance complete. But you're probably thinking, what about guest spawner? Right, let's have a look at that and I'll give you some ideas, but we're going to switch over to a zoo I've previously created. Now, hopefully you're more comfortable when it comes to designing zoo entrances now, but you can see in Nootropic Zoo the same elements are still there, even though the design is different. In the centre we've got the actual zoo entrance, to the left we've got the souvenir shop like we did in our previous entrance, so you just see me create, and in the right, just after the entrance, we have got our information centre. We've built the entrance out and created a car park. That's another thing you can do if you wish to do so. In fact, we've actually created a long road what leads to the car park, which then leads to the zoo entrance. But our guest spawners are actually integrated in these shuttle coaches, buses, whatever you want to call them. And it's called the European Coach Zoo Entrance. It is part of the European pack, so if you do want this, you will need to have that pack. But honestly, you can pretty much put your guest spawner wherever you want. If I didn't have those coaches, I would have probably put it here, hid it with trees, and had my guest, maybe created an extra path and had the guest walk along, keeping it realistic but also hiding the guest spawner. Over at my petting zoo, if I just turn the camera around, you will see once again I've used the same coach as our guest spawner. So if you do have the European pack, definitely utilise it as your guest spawner. If you don't, I could have just placed it there and put a rock over it, or I could have placed like a tunnel system. So you could pretend the water's not here, for example. You can place it under there so it looks like they're coming out of a tunnel. Just try to get creative about it. But in the main scheme of things, it doesn't really matter as long as your guests are getting into your zoo. And now with the zoo entrance being complete and me giving you some ideas about guest spawners, that finishes this video off. If you did like it, then hit the like button. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. My name's Adam. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.